Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. David Hooper, and this is another episode of the Unstoppable Introvert Project podcast. And today is all about making incredible changes to your life, and that is through goal setting, of course. But today isn't just about goal setting. No, we are using the strongest, most powerful technique when it comes to goal setting that has allowed me to drop 80 pounds of body fat. It's allowed me to get a PhD after failing all my A-levels. It's allowed me to run an ultramarathon after not being able to leave the house. It is a goal setting technique that I'm going to share with you. All you can do is be successful. There is only one route, and that is to be successful. So why goal setting? Because it is one of my favorite topics, firstly, but I love a transformation. I love hearing about how people have used these techniques to go and really transform your lives. But before we get into today, how has your month been going? Little check-in I like to do every single episode. Are you on track? Are you on track with your goals? Pretty relevant to today's session. It is all about going and getting your goals on. And that's what today's about. So yeah, I hope you are having an amazing time. 2024 is your year. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. 2024 is the year that you change your life. And I'm so excited for you. You are becoming an unstoppable introvert, and I'm proud of you for all the steps that you're taking. And also thank you so much for all of the messages. I've mentioned how I was overwhelmed on that first day. You know, the first day that I pressed the publish button, I got a load of texts, messages, likes, and comments on social media. I literally just got paralyzed, and I, was so overwhelmed, and I kind of had to just take a moment and remind myself what I was doing, why I was doing it, and that was to help one or two people. And I needed to now show up for that community, that tribe that we're building together, that unstoppable introvert tribe. And I was able to pull myself together and move on and carry on from there. But I'm so thankful. I had a beer with a friend of mine last week who mentioned that they have been listening to the podcast in the gym, and they've seen their lifts improve. They are seeing their mental health improve. They are seeing some relatability in my story, in their story, and how, if I've overcome something, why can't they? And that is exactly the point of this podcast. If I can do it, you can do it. And again, I'm so thankful for everybody who's liked the show on Spotify. If you haven't already, head over to Spotify, the Unstoppable Introvert Project, and give it a rating. Hopefully it's a 5-star. And also head over to YouTube. I haven't been plugging YouTube particularly because I've just been pushing the podcast side of things. But if you're on YouTube, find me at Dr. David Hooper. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok as well. But enough about that. Let's get into goal setting. So why is this important? Quite easy. Two main reasons. Firstly, we want to achieve something positive, right? We have goals, we have dreams, we have ambitions. Why shouldn't we go and achieve them? Second one, avoiding something. That's right. You can goal set to avoid something, i.e. a negative thing. But it's got to be an outcome. Positive outcome, negative outcome. Our goals will underpin these different outcomes. Think about this. What if you haven't got a goal right now? And I heard a really interesting podcast on Ed Milet's podcast. Go and find it if you can. It's called The Ed Milet Show. And he was talking with a guest who I can't remember their name, so I do apologize. It's just as much energy to 10x your goals and ambitions than it is to 2x your goals and ambitions. So think about exactly what you want and think about what you need to do to achieve it, and then 10x it, grow it, blow it up, make it huge. That's what the research shows. If you have a goal, make it as big as possible and go for it. Because even if you don't get that 10x goal, you might get the 5x goal, which is still bigger than the 2x goal. Think about that goal. We need to be clear. We need to be specific to hit that target. Imagine trying to hit a target, firstly. Let's just play this out. So imagine you're an archer in the olden days. I don't know why I've picked an archer, but maybe I was watching Lord of the Rings over the weekend. I don't know. And you've got your bow and arrow, and someone says, right, there's a target a mile away, so you can barely see it. Hit the target. You're going to struggle to do that with a bow and arrow. Okay. Someone says, right, there's a target. Here's your bow and arrow. But they don't tell you where it is. So you go, well, how am I meant to hit it if I don't know where it is? Well, exactly. Then lastly, imagine trying to hit a target and you don't know what direction it is. Is it behind you? Is it in front of you? Is it above you? Is it below you? Is it to the side? You don't know. So the chances of that archer hitting that target are practically zero. Very, very low, right? Not easy at all. However, imagine if that archer was a lot closer to the goal, to the target, knew exactly the direction, the wind speed, the power they needed to put into the arrow through the bow, the direction. When you have all of these things, suddenly you think, okay, maybe I can hit that target. And you probably will. But the thing that I want to talk you through, which is going to be the equivalent of our bow and arrow and knowing where the target is something called the 7 stages of well-formed outcomes. So you've probably heard about SMARTer goals, right? And I'm not going to go into that too much today, but this example, the 7 stages of well-formed outcomes, are the next level. A bit more detailed, well, a lot more detailed, a bit more purposeful, a bit more tailored to you. We're going to talk through them. So here's the 7 stages. We've got positively stated goals, sensory evidence, a context, a time frame, loads of resources, personal connection, and a purpose. When you apply all of these 7 stages, you're going to get well-formed outcomes. And what that means is you are increasing your chances of success by percentages, tens of percentages every time when you move up these stages. So let's get straight into this. Sit back, relax, get your cup of coffee, get a juice, get a protein shake. If you're running on the treadmill, be prepared to push it and get that incline spiked up. If you're lifting weights, get them dumbbells heavier. If you're driving, keep an eye on the gas pedal. Don't want you speeding. Let's make some goals together and make your life change. So, positively stated. This goal focuses exactly on what you want. A lot of people focus on what you don't want, right? So I don't want this, I don't want that. What is it you actually want? Is it to be a millionaire? Say that, own it. Is it to create an internationally recognized business? Is it to find the love of your life? Is it to have so much confidence it oozes out of you? Number 2, sensory evidence. What that means is if you think of all your senses, that's touch and see and feel and hear and all those different things. Pretty sure touch and feel are the same thing, but never mind. Unless you can see it, hear it, and feel it, either in real life or within your imagination, it doesn't seem real. Now remember last week we talked about the emotional triad, imagination, self-talk, body posture. This is where these types of tools start to build into your goals. These goals need to feel connected to you and they need to feel like you can obtain them. So imagine yourself in those situations where you're crushing your goals. Maybe it's running a marathon. Maybe it's doing an Ironman. Are you in the water? You're swimming really hard. You're biking really hard. You're running really hard. You are getting towards that Ironman, whatever it is. And we must get to the point where you know exactly what your goal looks like. You know what it feels like, you know what it sounds like. You know, if I'm a millionaire, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. If I'm doing an Ironman, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. If I'm trying to meet the love of my life, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. So ask yourself these questions. Now you've got your goal, what will it look like when you get it? What will it sound like? And what will it feel like? And once you've got that, you're starting to build this picture of this sensory evidence that is going to bring your goal to life. And that is an incredible place to be because it will allow you to make an emotional connection to this goal, to bring it to life, to make it real. And that is exactly where we want you to be by the end of this session. Yes, I'm getting pumped because I love goal setting and creating a pathway to your dreams what else is better to do apart from going after them, obviously? And something that I heard the other day, which is really cool, was that dreams are free, right? So dream fucking big, man. I got so frustrated with a friend of mine a few weeks ago, and they were telling me what their dream was, and it sounded awful because it wasn't a particularly big dream. It was working at a 9 to 5 job, and the hours were bad, and they weren't paid very much, and the work-life balance wasn't very much. And I said, are you really happy doing that? And they said, oh, well, it's all I've ever known. And I said, well, dream bigger. What do you actually want to do? Well, I want to be my own boss. Right, great. What business? Well, I want to start a clothing brand. Great. How much money are you going to make? I'm going to make X amount of money, millions. Great. I'm going to have an international business. Right. So you've gone from a 9 to 5 job where the hours are shit, the pay is shit, work-life balance is shit, to now dreaming about owning a £1 million business, doing clothing or whatever it was. And that's what I want to say to you. Dream bigger. As introverts, sometimes we hold back. No, it can't happen to me. No, it can't happen to me. No, I don't deserve this. No, I'm not confident enough to go and do that. Let's cut the shit now. You are. You can go and achieve anything you want to, and you can go and be the best version of yourself. And it all starts with that dream. So feel free to dream big, to dream regularly, and go and figure out exactly what it is you want in this world. Let's get it. Number 3, context. So this is the where, the what, and the who. Where, let's think about that first. Where's the goal going to take place? You know, is it in the UK? Or is it in America? Or are you going to go to Australia? Or who knows? Where do you intend to be when this goal happens? Think about how long it's going to take. Think about what location it is. Think about what it is, where is it? What's the environment that this is actually happening? Then we're into the what. What's going on at the time of this goal being achieved? You know, what is the day-to-day things that you're doing every single day when you're achieving this goal? And you can start to think about those habits that you might want to be building into your daily routine. Then the who. Who else is involved and how will they help? Think about your network. You know, is it your wife or husband? Is it friends? Is it family? Is it colleagues? Is it people you haven't even met yet? Let me give you a hint. If it's those people you haven't yet met, here's what I would do. Write down 100 people you'd like to meet or network with, and then get to work getting to know them. Reach out to them on LinkedIn, reach out to them on Instagram, reach out to them on TikTok, email them. Get into their lives. If you need somebody to blow up your business, your podcast, your career, it's all down to the work. And when I say the work, I'm talking the nitty gritty, no one likes to do it, work. Outreach. It's not sales, but it's messaging people in a positive way, adding value to people. And that's the difference as well. When I say messaging people, I get it every single day on LinkedIn. Hi, can I sell you this? Hi, can I sell you this? Hi, can I sell you this? When I launched my podcast, I had literally 25 people in LinkedIn on day one saying, hi, I want to blow your podcast up, pay me this much. I'm like, fuck off. Why would I do that? I don't know you. But if you can build rapport by adding value, by getting to know me and saying how I could improve it and all these things, and then in 3 or 4 months be like, oh, by the way, I do this as a business, can I help you? Then I might be thinking about it. But add value. So who is that on that list? Is it friends? Is it family? Is it colleagues? Have a think about who that might be. And then just think about that moment as well. When you achieve your goal, what are you doing? Where are you? Are you on the beach? Are you working from a laptop? Are you making a phone call? Are you having a meal with your partner? What's happening? Who are you with? Are you by yourself? Are you with your team? Have you created a team? And then we're into stage 4. Time frames. Have a start and end time. And this is going to help your accountability. Something that plagued me for 6 months with the podcast was that I didn't have a set date. I kept just saying, I want to start a podcast by the end of 2023. And then the end of 2023 came and I did not have a podcast. And then when I kind of woke up in January 2024 and thought, shit, I haven't got my podcast out yet, I picked a date. And that was the 29th of January 2024. And I knew I had 2 or 3 weeks to record a couple of episodes, to figure out how to edit it, to figure out then how to post it and publish it and all that stuff. And it was up to me by the 29th to get that out there. And if you remember from the last episode about developing confidence, it's all about keeping the promises you make to yourself. And that is an incredible thing to be able to do. So make sure you have that start and end time. I've got something going on later this year. I'm going to start my own business where I'm thinking about the timescales on that potentially. I'm also thinking about doing different things with the podcast, maybe trying to get together for an event or these sorts of things. And I've planned out these timings, and these timings might move, but it's all about that accountability of, right, this is the goal, this is the time I'm aiming for, and then you can go from there. When does your goal begin? So let's break this goal down into a little bit more depth. What date do you want to achieve this goal by? So again, if I take this back to my own life, when I was doing my PhD, I was submitting my PhD on October the 2nd, 2020, so during the pandemic. And I remember it being the last week in September, and I had 10,000 words still to write and to edit the damn thing. And I knew I had that date in mind. So what I did was booked a hotel room and worked basically 24 hours a day for about 5 days. Laura looked after the dog and the cat at home. She didn't come with me. And I just worked on my PhD because I had this deadline. Because my PhD had been going on for so long, I ended up doing it for 7 years. And I knew I had to get it finished. So I booked time off work, booked into a hotel, worked basically 24 hours a day for 5 days, got it submitted. And, I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have this date that I'd picked of the 2nd of October. And then you can break it down into how many hours or days even are you dedicated to this goal. So let's say it's a fitness goal. What does that look like in terms of, you're running? Let's say you are running a marathon. How often are you going to run? It might be 3 or 4 times a week. For how long? Then you can break those into different sessions. Well, Sunday's a long run of 10 miles or more. Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be maybe 4 to 8 miles. Thursday's going to be a stretch day. And you can, add a bit of detail to these goals. And then you can break it into those hours. Well, I know on Sunday that long run is going to be 4 to 6 hours. Tuesday is going to be 1 hour, maybe 2. Thursday is going to be this and that. And then you can actually look at what you are doing. Now, I saw someone who had just created a £500,000 turnover business in the first year. And they said they'd spent 90 minutes every single day for a year on their business. 90 minutes, that's nothing, is it? If you think about the amount of time you spend watching Netflix, which is probably quite high. It might not be Netflix, it might be on TikTok or social media or watching movies or Amazon Prime or watching the football, all that sort of stuff. How much time are you spending on it? And I've had periods in my life where people have said, if you watched, did you watch the match over the weekend? And I'd be like, no. I've been grinding getting my PhD. They'd say, have you seen the latest Netflix thing? And I'd be like, no, I've been grinding. It was like Saltburn. Saltburn just came out, right? In 2024. And it was this big movie. And everyone on social media was talking about Saltburn. And of course I was like, I haven't seen Saltburn. What's Saltburn about? And then weeks passed and months passed. And people said, have you seen Saltburn yet? I went, no. I've been starting businesses. I've been getting lean. I've been running ultramarathons. I've been pushing myself. I've been starting all these things. No, I've been learning about AI and marketing and all these awesome things that are going to help my life blow up and change the life and fortune of my family. No, I haven't got time for Saltburn. So you have to figure out what your priorities are and really nail this down. And then once you understand the amount of time that you are giving it, then you can either think, is this enough? Do I need to do a bit more? Stage 5 then, resources. We want to give you the best possible chance of obtaining your goal and bringing your attention to things that will give you a greater chance of success is highly beneficial. So we've got 2 resources to note here. Firstly, internal resources. So that's the things like confidence, it's like patience, it's like empathy, creativity, forgiveness, understanding. What are your internal resources and what do you need to develop? If you're trying to create a life as a public speaker, have you got the confidence yet to go and do that? If it's a no, right, you need to build that into your goal. Or do you need to work with a mentor but maybe you fell out a few years ago and you need to forgive them or apologize to them to create a better relationship so you can then go and work together again. Think about those internal resources. External resources. Do you have the skill set required? The technology required, maybe qualifications, the skills, the knowledge, that sort of stuff. Now, again, for me, when I was planning my 2024 back in January 2023, so again, this is how long I've been planning these things, it's my intention to start a business around AI and marketing later on this year. However, I didn't have the skill set when it came to AI. I know not many people did. It was kind of this new thing that I'm so interested in. And as soon as I heard about ChatGPT and how AI can help people and even the playing field and blow things up in a good way, I thought that is the sector I'd love to work in one day or have a business in. So in January 2023, I had planned to spend the next year and a half developing my AI abilities, which is what I'm doing. But I knew at the minute those external resources were lacking. So I've done qualifications, I've spent time looking at the technologies and using it and implementing it in my own world, I've developed the skill set, and I now lead and give talks around AI in my department. So, this is all a big plan. That's the true, honest truth, is that all successful people have a plan. No one flukes it to starting that business or to getting successful. No, or making a buckload of money. No. They have a plan, and once you can figure that plan out for yourself and start to move towards it, you know that you're going to be in the right place. Stage 6 then, we need a personal connection. And this is the stage of the process where you really acknowledge that the goal that you have set is true. It's happening. We're working towards it now, and it's time for you to develop a personal connection to this goal. Ask yourself this. You've hopefully got that goal in your head now, right? Answer this question. Is this goal for you or for someone else? Now, that's a really interesting question. So for me, my PhD is something that I never really wanted to do. It was something I just did because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life particularly. I kind of just stayed in the system. I wanted to make my parents proud as well. So I felt like I was kind of doing it for them rather than for me. I don't really talk about my PhD too much. It helped me gain a lot of confidence, and it helped me gain some really cool skills, and my grit and dedication and determination was certainly developed through it as well. But the main outcome for my PhD was that it made my parents proud. And that's an amazing thing, and I hope they are proud. But I'd say that goal was more for them than it was for me. And they probably aren't even bothered, which is the crazy thing. So, try and think, who's this goal actually for? Make sure it's for you if you're going to spend a good bit of time on it. Then think about how important is it for you to achieve this goal? Because if the answer is, I wouldn't be that bothered if I didn't, don't spend too much time on it. Obviously, we want you to be at a place where it hurts if you don't get it. So let's say you was trying to start a business and the goal was to start that business. And I asked you, how important is it for you to achieve that goal? And you said, I'd be devastated if it doesn't work. In fact, I'm not going to let it not work. It is going to succeed. I'd be like, okay, great. This is important to you. Next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is your commitment to this outcome? So think about that example with Saltburn that I just gave a few minutes ago. When you are absolutely wrecked from a long day of work and you've got to go and work on your business, are you going to do it? When there's a choice of watching the big ball game at the weekend or working on your PhD or your podcast or whatever you're trying to do, your skills, qualifications, are you going to choose the skills or are you going to choose the game? If it's the game, again, we need to re-evaluate where we're headed with this. Try and, on a scale of 1 to 10, hopefully we're going to be the 8s, the 9s, the 10s when it comes to your commitment, and you're going to be willing to get up early. Because a lot of the reasons that we succeed is because we value our rest more than we value our work. And I'm a huge sleeper, a huge advocate for sleeping. I love it. I know how important it is. But sometimes you have to be willing to sacrifice your sleep to achieve the levels of success that you have ambitions for. I don't know if I've made this saying up, but I have the saying. I think I've made it up. I think it's my saying. And that is, you need to make sure that your work rate matches your ambition. Sometimes that means sacrificing sleep. Now, if you are a night owl, that might mean you're staying up later. A lot of the times, these successful people have a full-time job and work 9 till 5. They come home, then they do 5 p.m. till 9 a.m. on their business. You need to be able to make sure that you're committed to this goal. And I'm not saying sacrifice sleep all the time. No, I'm not saying that at all. Just for example though, for my podcast, I work a 9 till 5 kind of job. I currently am doing 4 a.m. till 9 working on my podcast. And then sometimes I'm doing the evenings as well because Laura is working towards her chartered accountant qualification. Not to mention the marathon training that we're doing. So I'm doing a 4 a.m. till 9, then a 9 till 5, and then sometimes a 6 till 9. Something like that. So I can get my hours in. It changes every day depending on when I'm in and all these different things. But it's all about how much time are you going to commit to this goal. And then lastly, think about what do you need to do to make this happen? What is the plan? What's the game plan? And really get into the nitty gritty of exactly what you need to do, how it looks like, how long it's going to take, who's it with. Be specific, make sure it's relevant, and start to map out that plan. Then lastly, we've made it stage 7, the purpose. What is your why? We need to make sure that you have a deep connection to destroy the question of what's the point. So when you're tired and you ask yourself that, what's the point? It needs to be a deep answer. So by connecting with your purpose behind the goal, your goal becomes much more emotionally driven, right? And an emotionally driven goal is packed with power, it's packed with drive. And remember, this is the thing that will drive you. So for me, again, if I link it back to this podcast, what is my why? To impact hundreds of thousands of people who are introverted but aren't achieving the things that they could be achieving. That is my why. And you know what? When I say what's the point, I think, right, am I impacting somebody today in a positive way? Yes, right, let's keep going. So we need to be able to find that why. What's the reason for getting up on a morning? This will essentially mean laziness and motivation do not exist in your life. We don't need to be lazy anymore. We don't need to be motivated anymore. We just get shit done. We just go and do it. Why? Because our why is so strong. Because we have a deep connection to our goal. Because we know we are having an impact on hundreds of thousands of people's lives with the outcomes of whatever we're doing. And that is the power of the 7 stages of the well-formed outcomes. When you are aligning this golden thread of your emotional, passionate responses, it is an extremely powerful cocktail. We've got to make sure that our reason to do this action is really strong. And I know that you will be able to. This is how you can do that. So here's a few questions to ask yourself. Firstly, why do you want to achieve this goal? And to be honest, if it is, I just want to be a millionaire, quite quickly, that feeling will evaporate. You know, I can be a millionaire tomorrow. I can be a millionaire in 6 months. Think about the actual emotion. What would being a millionaire allow you to do? Well, it would allow me to impact hundreds of thousands of people's lives. Great. That's a lot more powerful than being a millionaire. Think about what it is that you want and really think about why you want to achieve it. What will achieving this outcome mean to you, for you personally? Is it going to be that it explodes your confidence? Is it that your self-esteem is going to go through the roof? Is it that your self-worth is going to transform? And think about it. Sometimes even doing it internally is incredibly strong. All right, so think about what this goal might mean for you. And then get into why is this outcome a must for you? Because remember, people get what they tolerate. So if this is tolerable, you will accept it. How can we turn something that we could do to something that we must do? We tolerate things and go, okay, this is where I'm about at. No, we must do X, Y, and Z to achieve our goals. And when you get to that point, you know that you're going to be having a huge impact on whatever your goal is. How does this outcome relate to your highest value? So again, if you can connect your goals with you, your emotional responses, your self-worth, your why, you are creating a rocket launcher in terms of trajectory towards your goals. But it's all about really trying to gain a complete clarity around exactly what your goal is and what you need to do to achieve it, of course. So by going through the 7 stages of well-formed outcomes, you will know what you want, you will gain belief it's real by assessing what it will look like from every standpoint. You'll know exactly the context in terms of what it'll look like when you reach your goal and how it'll feel when it's achieved, when you want it done, what you're going to use to make it happen. You're going to have a personal and emotive connection to the goal, and you're going to know exactly the why you're doing it as well. So incredibly powerful tool when it comes to the 7 stages of well-formed outcomes. So remember, we've got positively stated first. What is it that you want? Make it big, dream big. We've then got the sensory evidence. You're going to see it, hear it, and feel it, either in real life or in your imagination. Then we've got the context. Where does it happen? What is happening? What's going on? And who is it with? We've then got stage 4, the time frames. What date is this happening? What time is it happening? How many hours a week are you spending on this? How many days do you have from now until then to complete the goal? Stage 5, resources. Want to give you that best chance of obtaining this goal. What's your internal resources? What are your key abilities and personality traits? Confidence, forgiveness, patience, creativity, whatever it is. Or do you need some external support? Qualifications, skill sets, technologies, whatever that might mean to you. Stage 6, what's that personal connection? And this is where we're getting a bit deeper to it. Think about the top couple of layers of the 6 levels of neurological change. I'm talking about values and beliefs and purpose and vision. That's where we're at now. Stage 6, try to attach a personal connection to this goal. You know, how important is it to you? Well, it's fucking important. This is the most important thing I've got going on in my life, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. And then lastly, stage 7, that purpose. What is your why? Why are you doing this? And it needs to have that emotional connection. We are taking out laziness, motivation are no longer in the game. We have a why. And what that means is we're driven and disciplined to do this, whatever it is, when we're tired, but also when we're excited, when we're sleepy, when we're overwhelmed, when we are in a situation that we don't want to be in, we still turn up and get after our goal. And just remember, if you are relying on motivation, as in, I feel like doing this today, or I don't feel like doing this today, your reason to do the action is not strong enough. We need to get to a place so we are doing the thing, doing the damn thing, even when we don't feel like it. Because your why is so strong. And that, my friends, is the 7 stages of well-formed outcomes. And it brings an end to this episode around goal setting. I hope you've enjoyed it. I so appreciate your comments and likes and shares and follows and all that stuff. If you haven't followed me already, it's at Dr. David Hooper on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Please follow me on Spotify, the Unstoppable Introvert Project podcast. Find us, follow us, keep up to date with every podcast that comes out. I really hope this is starting to help you change your mindsets and really go after your goals. And I hope that you are starting to feel a little bit more unstoppable with every single episode. Please share it with anyone who it might help. There is so many introverts out there with untapped potential, and we need to all come together in one unstoppable introvert tribe and community to show how amazing we all are. So just to finish off, remember that being an introvert isn't the thing that will hold you back. It is the thing that will launch you towards your unstoppable, incredible, amazing self. Until next time, guys, stay unstoppable.